What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, in this morning's live stream, we covered exactly what was going on with Celsius and why I was so upset about it. Now, I'm not going to rant for another 10 to 15 minutes like I did this morning, but if you do want to know exactly what is happening there, do go check out this morning's live stream. Because in today's video, I wanted to update you guys on the developments and pieces of news that have been coming out related to Celsius and why I think the narrative that is happening right now could very possibly continue this crash, and Bitcoin could see as low as $15,000 to $16,000 as a result of it. So with that said, of course, let's go ahead and let's get straight into this. So just as a brief recap, one thing we know is that Celsius went ahead and paused all withdrawals, swaps, and transfers just about 24 hours ago, roughly. And as that did happen, it started to spark up many rumors that they were going insolvent, that they couldn't pay back the debts, that everybody's crypto was gone. And of course, as a result of this, people started doing their digging. And as they have started doing their digging, it started to reveal some things that are honestly quite worrying. Now, what I will say is the most worrying right now is the fact that they currently have about $500 million worth of wrapped Bitcoin set aside as collateral, which is currently about 23.9 thousand wrapped Bitcoin. Now, what this means is that as people are putting money onto the platform, they're taking that money and then collateralizing it in order to take out loans, to leverage it, and obviously try to use that leverage to repay those investors. Well, obviously, in a time of this nature, whenever the market starts to fall, they start to see really bad prices, they start to see liquidations. Well, clearly, they are going to go ahead and then say, okay, we're pausing all withdrawals because the money that you gave us we're incapable of paying back. Now, I'm not going to again rant. I really want to, but I'm not going to rant of how dumb this is. Now, the problem with this then becomes, of course, as they have collateral locked and they are leveraging it, what does that mean? There is a liquidation price. Now, whenever there is a liquidation price, what this means is that once we reach this certain liquidation price, their $500 million of Bitcoin is now going to be released into the market for any of those little hungry whales and hungry sharks to then go ahead and take advantage of. And we can see that they are aware of this. Just about 4 hours ago, they were sitting at an $18,000 liquidation price. They then went ahead and added in some collateral onto their position, which lowered that overall liquidation price to $17,000. They then went ahead again and added even more collateral and added even more, topped up that position to get it down to $16,852. So what we can see is that at this moment, they are trying their best to lower the liquidation price in order to start to minimize risk as much as possible of a liquidation, in which would be the complete detriment of the platform. Remember, this is the customer's money. No matter how pissed off you are at Celsius right now, the money that is going to be liquidated is money they've taken from investors and leveraged, right? So if that money is liquidated and gone forever, they are then likely going to be very insolvent, which means they are incapable of paying back the things in which investors have put onto the platform. This would be very bad. But this is not the big oh shit moment, okay? The big oh shit moment is actually the fact that we are starting to very, very clearly and seemingly see signs of manipulation that whales and sharks and these big players in the game are actually actively trying to make this happen, okay? And that's where this problem becomes. Because you need to think about something. Whenever we think about the human race in general, what is one of the biggest things in which we chase? It's control. Whether you like it or not, power and control is one of the major influences of almost all decisions that are made within the government, within politics, or any big body organization, right? And in, an industry such as crypto, in which we are seeing it developing and growing, and people are finally starting to realize its potential, well, people are going to want to be as big of a player as they possibly can within that industry. That is obvious. That is their goal. They want to get as big and control as much market share as possible in order to be the reigning king of this newfound industry, right? The problem with that then becomes whenever a whale or a shark, whenever one of these people who owns a lot, they have a lot of money and a lot of control of this over this market, sees vulnerability like this, what do you think they're going to do? They are going to try their absolute hardest to make it come to fruition to get Celsius out of this market. And we are very clearly and blatantly starting to see this market falling dramatically ever since this information started to come out in what seems to be an attempt to liquidate Celsius out of their position. And that is a problem. Because what is going to happen is one of two things, right? What's either first and foremost going to happen is they're not going to succeed. Celsius is going to continue to top up their collateral until they absolutely run out of money, and we have to hope and pray that we get some good news from the Fed on Wednesday or Thursday that allows many retail investors and the stock market itself to start to see a bounce that will very likely allow Bitcoin to follow through and get us a little bit out of the tension in which we are seeing right now and stop those whales and sharks from trying to liquidate Celsius. Or what's going to happen is Celsius is going to run out of money. They're incapable of, adding any more collateral here. The liquidation price will remain the same. These big whales are going to work probably together to get the price down towards this $16,852 liquidation price, liquidate them out of the market. We will then see $500 million worth of Bitcoin hit the market at once. That liquidation candle is going to be ridiculously ugly, in which these big corps are then capable of buying a load of Bitcoin for a super cheap price, and then we start to see the market move in probably a better direction from that point forward. And then we start to see those bigger, companies who've been manipulating the market successfully manipulate themselves into buying over 500, nearly $500 million worth of Bitcoin for cheaper prices. This is not a good thing for you, and it's not a good thing for me. If Celsius gets liquidated, that $500 million is wiped forever. Anyone who has money on there is very likely not going to see it again, in my opinion. If that happens, that is very, very bad for crypto as a whole. The best case scenario here is that they continue to have money until the point in which they can top up this thing, get their liquidation down to a point in which the whales are not capable of manipulating us down to, and then allowing the market to start to see growth eventually as we do start to see some type of relief rallies and things of that nature, and we start to kind of work our way out of this murky water. We need to pay very close attention to how this transpires, because if this does continue in the direction it is going to, there is a strong chance we revisit not only just $16,000, but a liquidation of nearly $500 million Bitcoin could very possibly start to see this thing very, very, very swiftly continuing to the downside and freaking and shaking out many investors. Okay, so I know this was a bit of a shorter video, but I really wanted to drive this into you guys that you need to pay attention to this. These type of narratives are what drive bear markets. The Luna narrative, this narrative, the ETH depegging narrative, the narratives are what drive bull markets and bear markets. And understand that this is one of those narratives that, if it comes to fruition, could be extremely detrimental and set a precedent that we do not want to see in crypto. Okay, so keep your eyes peeled, keep your ears open, and pay very close attention to how this happens, because realistically it will have a great impact on what we do see from crypto going forward. So with that said, that's going to be just a quick update of the night. I will be posting another video in the morning covering some ADA Cardano and my thoughts on it, so do stay tuned for that, and I will see you all next time. Peace.